Good afternoon or morning, depending on where you are, and welcome to our power session on Donor Perfect Forms. My name is Sean McClellan. I've been with Donor Perfect for going on about 6 years now. Started out in support and then moved to training about 3 to 4 years ago. My favorite Donor Perfect topics when I work with my clients are database maintenance and reporting, but today I'm actually going to be going over the new Donor Perfect Forms experience that we are rolling out. We hope you'll join us for the workshop on September 13th that will continue this conversation into more depth. As a quick housekeeping item, I do want to remind everybody to be sure to add your questions to the Q&A tab. That way I can see them and answer them at the end of the presentation. If you put a question in general chat, I'll do my best to keep an eye out for it when we get to the Q&A at the end, but it may get lost in the scrolling of the screen. All right, so what are the new Donor Perfect forms? They are, in a nutshell, a total reimagining of our classic experience that prioritizes ease of use for our clients and provides a modernized look and feel for your donors. So here you can see just a quick example that I kind of mocked up using the Donor Perfect Forms tool. So what are the changes? Well, the biggest one is that we've updated the editor, switching over to a simplified what you see is what you get or WYSIWYG editing tool that allows you to simply click on the part of the form you want to update, and then the corresponding editing tools will appear on the left side of the screen. We've also added a much desired drag and drop functionality that lets you put those fields exactly where you want them, and it shows you your changes live. So there's no more editing a field or item, clicking save, closing a window, clicking on preview, and then seeing how it looks, and then possibly having to do it all again if you don't like how that turned out. Your impact stories are also going to be much easier to share so that you can let your donors know how their gifts help you, which is a proven way to drive engagement. People love to see how they're helping you out. And I think something that a lot of people are going to enjoy, we are including an integration with PayPal and Venmo, making it even easier for your donors to support your organization. Now, why should you use the new Donor Perfect forms? M&R benchmark studies have shown that nonprofits that use the Donor Perfect donation forms have a conversion rate as high as 38% compared to the industry average of about 22%. We've also included a simple toggle that lets you switch back and forth between one-time gifts and monthly giving with unique options for each choice. So if you have a $100 gift one time, you don't necessarily have to have a $100 gift monthly. So it can make monthly giving a lot easier for your donors. Now, I can't really see anybody's hands, but if you want to throw into the general chat, who here does a lot of your browsing on a phone or tablet? I know I do, so I'll raise my hand. All right. Seeing some emojis pop up, but with that in mind, I want to mention that we've also improved the mobile experience, which is important as studies have shown that nearly half of all website traffic occurs via smartphones and tablets these days. So, no longer are you going to have to worry about a form that maybe doesn't look quite right when somebody pulls out their iPhone or their Google Pixel or their Note or whatever device they happen to have. And it's now easier than ever to brand and embed your forms with any browser. Now, I can talk to you about these forms for the next 25 minutes or so, or I can show you how the forms are going to work. So let me just pull that up on the screen. So here's a form that I set up. Oh, sorry, let me go back here. Here's a form I set up maybe a week ago, and it probably took me all of 5 minutes. Now, I've got a nice banner on here. I've got monthly as my default, but I can switch over to a one-time. You can see that I've got impact stories, which can vary depending on which option I've selected. There's a section where somebody can easily fill out information about themselves, and it's all grouped together nicely in a 2-column format. You don't have to scroll all the way through. You can select your various payment options. We have the offset processing fee. That's the new term for the donor covers cost. And then down at the bottom, I have access to my contact information. If somebody needs assistance, my information is right there for them. Now to build that in the new form editor, you'll just click on our Create New Form button. And the first thing it's going to ask you to do is decide if you just want donation amounts or if you want to do donation amounts and an impact. Again, we definitely recommend throwing that impact story in there. People want to know how their donations are going to help. So consider that impact story as a way to share, what a gift is going to do to help your organization with their mission. Give the form a name. And now we're in the form builder. The nice thing is we do have a quick little slideshow for you that kind of gives you the 411 on what's going on here. So when you're setting up a new form, I definitely recommend looking through those notes. And then you're in the form builder. So one thing you can do is, of course, upload an image. So it's very easy. You don't have to worry about figuring out the proper sizing or anything. You don't have to look for the right button. You just click the upload button. And now one of my colleagues designed this for me, but now we've already got a nice little banner ad at the top. You can choose to include a title. Now, my banner happens to have a title on there already, so I might want to put like my organization name just to remind them, where they are. And then I can go into my donation options. Now, you may have noticed here on the left that when I selected the item I wanted to edit, the editing tools automatically pop up to let me know, what item I'm looking at and immediately get me into the editing phase. So I don't have to worry about sorting through basics. I don't have to worry about looking through fields. The editor does a lot of that work for me. So what I can do is set up my monthly giving amounts. So for example, I can put in a $10 option. What does a $10 option do for my organization? Well, a $10 option helps us shelter an animal. I can put in a $25 option, and then I can explain what the impact of that's going to be. And you may notice if you're keeping an eye on the whole screen that it's automatically updating based off of what I've entered in. $50 a month helps fight pet overpopulation. $75 a month can provide a life-saving treatment. I promise I can type really well when no one's watching. And you can also very easily select a default amount. So for example, if my organization, if we do a little bit of research, perhaps using the gift range report in Donor Perfect, and we determine that 25 is a good monthly amount to default, we can select that very easily. And you can also add additional amounts. And then if we switch over to our one-time, we can see we have completely different values available to us. So for our one-time gifts, maybe we still want to leave 25 as an option. We can still keep 50 in there. Oops. Highlighting too much of my screen. There we go. And then for 100, I put that impact story in there. And then for $500, a one-time gift of $500 can help us prevent pet euthanasia. And for here, we can also determine, a proper default amount. Again, if we were to use a report such as gift range, we can determine maybe what the most common average gift amount or the most common maximum gift amount is amongst our particular constituency. And we can come to, a proper decision based off of our own internal research. We also have a tribute section where they can make a donation in memory or honor. And as we go through, we can double check the other items. Now you can also add additional fields. Currently, you have to add a field from the gift screen, which we would recommend that you place in Donor Perfect first, much following the best practices of our classic forms experience. So I have set up a field in Donor Perfect where people can sign up for monthly updates. So I could just drag and drop that in there. It's already here. And then in Donor, the forms will allow me to find the field I want. And then I can customize my label. So and you can even, in the case of a checkbox, you can mark it as default. For other fields, you can mark it required as needed. You can also drag and drop additional images. You can put memos in there. You can add in some drop-down fields. Really anything that you'd want to include on your form, you can include on the form. Under the form styler, we have a very easy to use background and accent option. And if, like me, you're not a web designer by any stretch of the imagination, there are tools that you can use to help get the proper codes. So for example, for my background, I'm going to go with a light blue, which is apparently a purple because I must have mistyped my value in there. So let's just bring that over and we can use the slider. There we go. Hopefully I get the other number right. And then I have a darker blue for the accent. The accent color does also double as your button color. Now, one thing you want to make sure you're doing with all of your online forms is assigning the appropriate codes. That way, when your data shows up in your system, it's already coded out for you. You don't have to worry about running a report, finding missing information, and cleaning it all up manually. You can just make sure that the form does all the heavy lifting there as well. So I can assign a campaign code if this is part of an ongoing campaign. I can assign it to a general ledger. Now, of course, with something like a standard donation form, you probably want to keep it unrestricted, keep that money flexible for you. I can assign my solicitation code. Now, again, for an online donation form like this, I'm gearing this up to be my default donation page, so I'm going to leave that unsolicited. And you can assign a sub-solicitation code. You can also add additional hidden fields. So if there are any additional notes that you want to include, if you're using QuickBooks, you can include the QuickBooks class. Now, anything that's already being used will be marked very clearly as unavailable with the reason why. So if you can't find something, you keep scrolling down, the forms will let you know what's going on. And then under settings, you can customize your confirmation page, again, using a WYSIWYG editor. So for example, if I wanted to upload a different image, I can add that. I can go in here and I can update the message. And you can include links in here as well. If you want to link to a particular page on your site or anything like that, you can, like I said, you can include images and you can update the text using some simple text editing tools. We update our confirmation page. And then, of course, we want to set up the thank you email. So one of the biggest changes is with the new forms experience, you can of course have a default template, or if you have an email template already in your DonorPerfect system, you can tell it to use that email, and then when the donation downloads, the email is sent via DonorPerfect. So you don't have to worry about building one email template in your form and then a second email template in DonorPerfect. You can let the two programs work together and just do one seamless email experience. Now, when you're ready for your form to go live, make sure you click the Publish button. Oh, looks like I forgot to include my contact details, so we'll scroll down to the bottom. I guess it would probably be .org. And you can include your 501c3 information. And now if I click Publish, again, it's going to double check my work, make sure everything's good to go. And here's my form. So I sign in, I come into the form. Now, hopefully on your website, you've got a donation button that's front and center. Make it big, make it easy to get to. One of the things that we do as trainers is we provide advisories, and one of the first things we look for is we look at your donation page. We look at your website to see how easy it's there, how easy it is to get to your donation forms. Might sound silly, but even 3 clicks can be too much for people. So put that button front and center, make it easy to access. And then once I'm brought here, I'm already in the monthly giving program. That's the first thing I'm seeing, and in a lot of cases, that's enough. I can go, maybe 25 is too much for me a month, but I pay for Netflix, I can certainly handle $10. Or maybe somebody wants to kick it up to 50. And on the off chance that they're not comfortable setting themselves up as a recurring or monthly donor, they can still switch to the one-time option. We'll go ahead and stick to that 25. And again, we have that little monthly update option. If I'm not interested in the monthly update, I can uncheck it. And if I want to dedicate the donation, I can select the information, type in who I want to dedicate it to, and then fill out my information here. Fill out my credit card. And then I can confirm if my information is identical across both areas. If not, we give you a very easy to use billing section. And then I can choose to include an offset processing fee, which again is a fully tax deductible donation. If I'm giving you $25 plus an additional 75 cents, the donation is $25.75. And then we have the review page, gives you all of the different items, and then we click on donate. And the nice thing is the donation automatically downloads into the database. So if I go looking for my name, give that a moment. But once it has a moment to download, I'll be able to find my record right away. Now, one thing I want to highlight is you can update your offset fee message. The default amount is 3%, which is based off of industry averages. And then you can also choose to make that the default selection. And we have a little bit of extra information in case you have any questions. Now, because I've made a change, I do need to make sure that I publish it before that's going to show up. So if you're working on your form and you happen to open it up on your website and it's not quite showing what you expected, just make sure you go back and click on the publish button. So the saves happen automatically, but you have to publish it. Now, if you are interested in including a link to PayPal and Venmo, you just click on the donation option. You'll link an account. And then you'll get additional PayPal pop-up. You do need to have a PayPal business account. But once you have that set up, it'll allow the two programs to connect, and now your donors can use PayPal and they can use Venmo. So if you've had donors asking you in the past if there's a PayPal option, or if you've been keeping a separate PayPal form from your Donor Perfect form, that can become a thing of the past, and you can put the two together. Now let's see. Just want to check. Ah, there we go. So it took a couple of moments. But we can see my donation has come in. And at the very bottom, if I check my auditing section, it's created by Donor Perfect form, so you can keep track of information like that. I have my gift. Assign the credit card gift type automatically. It has all of the different codes that I've added myself. The tribute information is right there. And then my receive monthly update field that I added is checked as well. So now if I go and run a list or build like a constant contact list to include people who want a monthly update, I can use this as a data point for that. And then, of course, because I set up a pledge, we can see the pledge record. And under contacts, the email was sent automatically. So I don't even have to go into receipts to send an acknowledgement to this donor. So with that demo in mind, how do you maximize the effectiveness of your online form? You have that form together. It's a great form, but now you've got to promote it. One of the biggest things we can recommend: set up a monthly donor program. As mentioned before, retention rates can skyrocket to up to 85% with a monthly program. The lifetime value for a monthly donor can be up to 34 times the value of a one-time donor, simply by getting somebody to click on an option to donate again and again. They're more likely to stay with your organization longer and accrue more value for you over time. As I said before, make sure that that donation button is prominent on your website. The easier it is to find, the better. A common place that people are going to look is often going to be the upper right corner. So make sure it's not hard for people to donate. And then, of course, you want to keep a consistent theme between your website and your forms. You want to instill comfort and confidence in your donors. You want them to feel like they never really left your website at all. So this time, I'm going to go ahead and check in the Q&A section to see if there are any questions. And there is also a link I want to share, assuming it hasn't already been popped into the general channel for everybody. So one of these new forms rolling out. If you go into the Q&A section, there's actually a form that you can fill out if you want to sign up for the new online forms experience. So you can sign up, you know, in 5 minutes when the presentation's over if you'd like. Is there an ability to add more than one hidden general ledger or solicitation code to these forms yet? So if you make it hidden, they're only going to be able to select one code. But if you make it a visible dropdown, they can select from a list. But each donation can only have one code assigned at a time per field. And then have conditional fields, i.e. this only shows up if something has been checked, been added. Sounds like that's going to be coming out in the next update. If we already have donor perfect forms, will this new format auto switch over? My form builder does not look like this. It is not going to auto switch you over, but you can sign up and you can use both types of forms concurrently. So you can utilize the new form experience while also still using the classic forms experience. Are using PayPal now instead of SafeSave, as it was answered in Q&A, the form uses both. So if they are still processing with a credit card, debit card, or bank account, it's still going through SafeSave as always. Uh, will we be able to add multiple checkboxes to the form and connect them to custom fields we've created in Donor Perfect? So right now it is just fields on the gift screen. So if you wanted to add like a section to your gift screen in Donor Perfect with some checkboxes or drop-down lists or anything like that, you can then add them to the forms. But again, as of right now, it is just on the gift screen. Just going through. Are there different, if there are options for different acknowledgement emails for in honor memory gifts? And will Canadian sites say honor with a U rather than without the U? So the forms, when you build the form, you can connect it to an email template of your choice. So if you have different versions of the emails to use, like you can connect, but it is a one form to one email connection at this time. We got what branding ability is there on the web form, fonts, colors, etc. So right now you can upload images. So you can put, a header image if you have one, or just a simple picture, and then you can update the colors. Right now we have the background and the accent colors, which use RGB and hex codes, or if you noticed, I was using the color sliders. So I mean, if you happen to know RGB or hex codes, you can use any colors that you can think of, or you can utilize the sliders to try to get that perfect tone. Uh, I think this one will be good for people to be aware of. Is there a manual option for downloading donations from these new forms into Donor Perfect instead of automatic? At this time, it's all going to be automatic, and then the merging will be done in Donor Perfect. And then got a couple of folks asking if the forms are available in Canada. Not at this time, but that is something that we are working on. And Josh has mentioned that it is a high priority item. If we add the impact story in the form, are we required to consider the gifts as restricted or designated, or are the impact items on a form just examples of the kinds of things your donation would go to? Generally speaking, impact stories tend to lean more towards the latter, where it's an example. However, you can set up a specific form to go to a certain restricted code and then make sure that your impact stories only tie to those exact items. For example, if you have like a scholarship form, you could have each impact story be a specific level of scholarship. But if your form is set up to be unrestricted, they can serve as examples of what the money could potentially go to. And then if you decide to leave the impact story empty, it'll just leave it in there with the donation amounts. Or you can choose to use a non-impact text template and it'll just have the donation buttons. All right. Now, I apologize if I wasn't able to get to everybody's question, but I want to be sensitive to time because we have another session coming up. So let me just pop the registration link in the general chat for everybody there as well. So if you haven't already clicked on that, you can find the link in the general chat. When the handout is made available, there'll be a link there for you as well, and then it's also in the Q&A. So thank you, everybody, for taking the time to attend the power session. Thank you, Josh, for keeping an eye on that Q&A and getting to some of those questions right away. I hope you found the information here beneficial. Next up, we've got, is your staff a part of your story and connected to your mission, as well as a presentation by GiveCloud telling your story in various ways. As always, no matter which session you choose, you will not miss any content since all sessions are recorded. So we'll see you shortly. Take care. Bye.